Right, let's go. I'm recording. Shut up. Take my money out. What? Take my money out and record it. How much? 40. Here. I'll get the money out. Here's a number. $3? Yeah. 2 hours.
What do you think for the website account for booking?
Is it?
Yeah, we forgot to use your website.
You have to go on the way. Hello.
Okay, just scan your ticket up against the machine when you're ready.
How does this work on the phone?
What is it, sir?
How do you work it?
Yeah, so if you just hold that QR code in front of the scanner, it should be once it's scanned.
I'm gonna go to
Like this?
Yeah, so let me see, if you see if you hold your phone like that, yeah, and then just tilt it a wee bit towards the screen. If you don't mind, I can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. You're better than me. Alright, thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
In the prairies of central Canada, it possesses some of the most valuable wheat producing land. Farmland from wheat area of Australia, Arctic countries, and in the uplands of South Africa, the most valuable northern and diamond
British ships. They fly the British flag, James. They shall be constructed in our finest shipyard by our most skilled craftsmen. Great Leviathans acting as ambassadors for the Empire. British ships built with American money. Whatever's the world coming to? That's not for the likes of you and I to wonder, James. I don't suppose either of us will ever be privileged to travel in such magnificent surroundings. Well, that's another day done, James. Another long day indeed. Maybe I'm talking late tonight. Always Before the gentleman retired to talk, his lordship was told of the largest dry dock in Belfast. Enormous gantries, a dry dock built for a ship that hadn't even been built yet. What a footman hears in service, he keeps to himself, James. Sorry, Mr. Harrison, they didn't say anything precise. I was merely speculating. You may have speculated more accurately than you realised. I did? I, of course, was privileged to accompany the gentleman to the smoking room. They are indeed proposing a new generation of ocean liner. Mr. Harrison.
They're a second rank for Catholics too. Still, I feel things will get worse. And it'll take politics to put it right. I'd like to see this. An Irish Parliament for Irish people in Dublin. Better for all of us. But we need this house. Never mind Labour stuff over the children. I'm hard scared from
Privileged to travel in such magnificent surroundings.
Floor 8.
Oh, that's another day done, James. Another long day indeed. They went on talking. James, you would do it have time on their hands. So I must have some so special. What's the issue?
At noon, April 10th,
Bang on time and fully expecting to be in New York within a few days, the Titanic sounded her whistle and cast off our lines. Titanic's launch in May 1911 was watched by an estimated 100,000 people. Almost a year of putting out transforming the massive world into such as their liner described by the White Star Line as a green ocean. By launching at TR, the Titanic was ready for £75,000 of fresh meat, 40,000 eggs, 1,000 sweetbreads, and 8,000 cigars. At 7 a.m., Captain Edward John Smith came aboard the Titanic to prepare for the Board of Trade muster at 8. Around 9:30, the first passengers arrived on the boat trade from London Waterloo. By late morning, all the passengers and crew were aboard, minus 2 firemen who were delayed in a public house and missed the departure. At noon on April 10th, bang on time, and fully expecting to be in New York in a few days, the Titanic sounded her whistle and cast off her lines.
I came in here the day after my 14th birthday, Harland and Wolf. That's where you worked in Belfast. My dad got me my start, then my brothers after me. You could hear the noise from where we lived, but nothing prepared you for the size of the place.
They put me to work on 401. That's what we called her. We knew she'd be the largest passenger ship in the world, but we didn't call her Titanic then.
I was there from the beginning. I watched the ship race near the keel blocks. They sent big wooden blocks from the slipway to start with, then the keel atop of it, like a backbone, and the frames attached to that, like a skeleton.
Workshops everywhere. It took weeks to find your way around. There'd be workshops for every trade you ever heard of. Painters, sailmakers, coppersmiths, boiler makers, cabinet makers. I even learned a bit about French policy off them.
Harland was a fine place to work, but dangerous. Every ship cost a life, and there'd be lots of injuries besides.
I was in the engine works for a while. Very well equipped it was. That's where we built the triple expansion engines. 2 of them, each as high as a 3-story house.
I worked in the frame bending shop. You had heat steel beams in the furnace, then hook them onto slabs of cast iron and hammer them curved. It was skilled work. You had to bend them more than you needed because the frame straightened out a little when it cooled.
The shell plates that made up the hull weighed up to 4.5 tons. They were taller than the da.
The plates were overlapped on the edges. Some were raised, one after another. We called it clincher. One of the foremen told me years ago, that's how you built steel ships.
I worked as a heater boy. You had to heat the rivets on a wee plate. You pumped the bellows till the rivet was white hot. Then you get a hold of it with your tongs and throw it up to the catcher. And he put it in the hole in the plate with the holder up.
There were 2 of us on the other side of the plate with the holder up. We had to hammer the rivet so it filled the hole before it turned dull red.
The double bottom. That's a wee space we called the tanks, made up of steel plates. The rest of the rivet squad all had to fit into that gap.
One of the foremen would check each rivet with a special hammer. If it made a ringing sound, we'd have to get back and chase it out after work.
I'd get scared working down in that double bottom. You only had candles for light.
And the constant hammering against the shell plates. You could hear it all over Belfast. Some of those boys ended up stone deaf, so they did. We were paid 31 bob a week. The heater boy and catcher got 16 bob, but we all worked the same 54 hours.
The upper deck was steel too, and part of the strength of the ship. There's no straight lines on a ship, and when you look down the weather deck, you could see the shear of the hull, but stopped her reflection at sea.
The stern frame had to be strong enough to take the rudder turning in heavy seas. You'd have all these timbers and guy wires to steady the frame, and men scurrying around like ants underneath.
When we came to launch day, I was torn between pride and fear. The standing ways were coated in tallow, train oil and soft soap, so the ship would slide when they shifted her weight off the blocks. That was the most dangerous part, when the shipwrights were knocking away the last props. They were under compression, you see, and the sliding ways would be released by the hydraulic trigger.
100,000 people watched the launch. Some paid a bob to sit in the reserved seating. There were extra trams laid on. Then we all went off to the pub to wish her well.
Doc, you were proud to be an island man that day. And Titanic was the pride of Belfast.
Thank you for joining us. The tour will end in a few seconds. Please exit the car carefully and make sure you don't leave any personal possessions behind. When the car has stopped, push the lap bar down and lift up to exit safely.